Sit down if you want to.
Right in the middle of what's going on.
I'm in the middle of an interrogation.
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
The middle children of history, man.
Middle of the day, Alfred.
Please, take a seat there.
Right now, I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Stop the middle, it's a base hit!
Meeting in the middle.
Like.
They fought for the freedom of middle.
The middle of a war!
The middle of a war!
Freaking ridiculous!
Why don't we have a seat and talk it over?
No! Not the middle seat!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back, B-A-C-K, to the Middle Seats Podcast, the best seat in the house for all things movies and entertainment. I'm your host and the leader of this circus, Andrew Auger. Now let's meet the rest of the clowns that are running around here on the Middle Seats Podcast.
Here we go.
He's capable of putting a smile on your face at any time, Mr. Nate Longarini.
I guarantee you my roses are real flowers and not acid spraying ones. Cough, cough, Jake, cough.
Honk your red nose, Nate. Honk it.
Beep, beep.
That was beautiful. I'm having second thoughts about this. This is really mean. I just wrote he's a clown, so I'm not even going to say it. Hi, Jake. What's up?
Yeah, there it is. You've done worse. I've been calling myself a clown for years. I don't really take offense to it. It's fine.
Right. Anyway, you know us, probably. If you don't, welcome back to the Middle Seats Podcast, or welcome for joining us for the first time. We are the best seat in the house for movies and entertainment and everything else that you could possibly want out of life. We'll have life advice and everything else like that. Yada, yada, yada. Our show, typically, is divided into 3 separate segments. We usually talk about the topic of the week, then we get into the biggest news items of the week, then we have a featured review. Because it's been so long, I think we're going to kind of have a different podcast today. And what I mean by that is we'll have a little bit of looking back. We'll be looking forward to something exciting we'll be doing in the winter, and we'll still have our feature review, even though it is a little bit of looking back. We wanted to give you guys enough time to see Todd Phillips' Joker before we dive deep into it. So we're very, very excited to finally be touching on that one. If you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for joining us. You can find us on a bunch of other streaming services as well for podcast hosting. This video only includes the first 2 segments of the show. If you want that Joker review, look for it in a separate video. There are various time codes in the description below if you want to know specifically what part you're listening to and what you want to do if you want to skip ahead. There's a lot to get into. First of all, guys, how are you? How you doing?
Live and well.
I think we're doing all right.
Just all right?
Yeah, I mean, we took a bit of a nap for a few months, but it's good to be back and talking about really one of 2 things that I know how to talk about, so I'm eager and I'm excited.
What's the second thing?
Probably just running. Movies and running. Anything else, I'm pretty much an amateur.
Is that your fine dining and breathing?
Yeah, no. If I were to go out on a date and they talked about anything other than movies or running, I would just listen and be like, yeah, I don't know anything about what you're talking about, so...
You know what would be nuts if you were just on a date and you just got up from the table and was like, you want to see me run? And then you just sprinted to go get like a salad.
That sounds like a scene straight out of Forrest Gump.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Because I'm a clown, I might do that. And I actually was Forrest Gump for Halloween, so well done, Nate.
Aha!
I think it was more than a nap, Jake. I think we were kind of in a coma.
Bit
Do you agree, Nate?
Bit of a slumber.
Oh, I'm definitely in a coma. My big update is that I'm participating in No Shave November, which is an event that raises money for cancer research. But my neck is itchy. I am not used to this much of my beard down here.
You sure there's no like little bugs hanging out in there? That's always what I'm worried about when you have a long beard.
That's what I was trying to say though. Like, talk about a coma. I look like I've been asleep for a century and a half with the scruff that I got on my cheeks. Like, rugged is putting it too gently, I think.
I think so too. But you know what? You're kind of a sleeping beauty type, I think. Not that I watch you sleep lately, but I think you're just kind of the sleeping beauty type, whereas Jake is more of he wakes up and he looks like old Kate Winslet from Titanic.
Oh, yeah. I have to shower in the morning, 1, because it wakes me up, but 2, because I really do look like I just woke up. I can't wake up and walk out the door. It's a disaster.
Yeah. Oh, man. Good to hear from you guys. I'm glad that the Middle Seats faithful, the Middle Seaties, I guess, is what we've never called them before, but we're calling them now.
Yeah, what is that? Get that out of here.
The Seatsters?
I think that's canceled immediately. Seatsters is better. I actually like Seatsters better.
The Seat Supremes.
The Seat Supremes. The A-list.
Good Lord.
AMC is going to sue. Yeah. Anyway,
Nate's over this.
Now that we have kind of given you a little bit of a life update, let's give you a little bit of a movie update.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it!
So the last thing that you guys heard us talk about is Guy Ritchie's Aladdin. And it has been several months, and several high-profile releases have come out since then. And obviously, we don't have all day. We want to get to Joker as soon as possible. So here's what we're going to do. We're each going to go around and briefly talk about a peak and a pit of the last couple of months of movies. A movie we really enjoyed and we want to talk about and give a little bit of love to, and a movie that we felt like we had to roast just a little bit here on the mic while we have this opportunity.
A little bit or a lot of it?
Yeah, you know, go as ham as you want. Go green eggs and ham on it, but like...
My movie's getting roasted real hard.
All right, well, I guess Jake's first. So, Jake, what's your peak and what is your pit of the last few months?
So I'll start with the low. We actually recorded one about Godzilla and Dark Phoenix, and it was probably my computer's fault. My computer's very old. Or it could have been Dark Phoenix's fault. I'm willing to blame that for anything.
Honestly, probably.
Regardless, the best way I can describe it is that scene in The Office when Michael Scott and Stanley get into it, and Stanley goes like, everything you do, I would do the opposite way. That is how I felt about watching Dark Phoenix. Everything they did, I would have done differently. Every decision they made, every plot device, character arc, I was like, no, and no again, no again. The difference between me giving a movie like a low rating to a bottom rating lies in the emotion. So Dark Phoenix left me angry and pissed. And God, like, there were story arcs that didn't make any sense. Characters showed up with like Magneto goes after Jean Grey with no sort of plan after he already overpowered him. Aliens randomly show up that could have been cut out of the movie completely. Like, they treat Professor X like he's an idiot. I could not deal with any single minute of that movie.
It was so draining watching that. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
That movie made me so tired.
The best part about it was that it wasn't over an hour 45. That's the best part about that movie.
Yeah. It's like when you hand your second grader, like, a stencil, and you just see what they draw, and then they're like, ta-da! And it's like they spelled their name backwards, and it's just a mess.
You know what I used to do? I used to just draw a big, giant scribble and tell people it was a tornado.
Oh. We got a true
You would be
Picasso
the lazy
here.
artist there, Jake. Come on.
Because I can't draw. So yeah, that's my low. Completely hated Dark Phoenix, my least favorite movie of the year so far. And then for my high, Quentin Tarantino and his Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It was definitely different than I expected, but I saw it twice. What a fun ride. Tarantino can direct pretty much anything. So, I mean, we can all agree, Once Upon a Time was fun, right?
Absolutely. I had a lot of fun with it, at least.
Amen.
I could have just watched DiCaprio and Pitt hang out and go about their paths and journeys.
Especially Brad Pitt. He stole that movie. He was so much fun.
I agree.
2 hours and 45 minutes, and I'm like, I could chill an extra hour and hang with these guys.
Yeah, you know what's weird about that is that his movies are so, like, plot-driven a lot of the time, and this was just a hangout until you get into the third act, really.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of patience, and I agree, Jake, a second viewing really helped it a lot. I thought once you take away those preconceived expectations of what you have, what you think a Tarantino movie's going to be like, it's just so much fun. I think two of the best performances ever by these two legends. DiCaprio and Pitt have borderline never been better than they have here.
I mean, you would know better. You make all those lists that I don't make, but I hope both of them get nominated. I hope the movie itself gets some nominations. I know its last 25 minutes is pretty violent.
They're also some of the most fun I've had in theaters in the last year and a half.
Right, exactly. I know it was violent, but like so is all of his other movies. So
right,
it's never stopped anybody before.
It rewards the patience that the audience takes, and you realize in that last 25 minutes or so, and I still don't want to spoil what that is, because there are some people that are probably still going to discover it around Oscar season. The things that they've set up earlier in the movie come back in a big, big way, and I think you guys know probably exactly one prop that I'm directly referring to.
The big one.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah, but absolutely, I co-sign both of those things, I would say. Nate, go ahead.
All right, so I'm feeling kind of upbeat today, so I think I'm going to start with my high first. And it's actually very, very recent. Dr. Sleep just came out, and if you're unaware, it is the sequel to The Shining.
I think the official title is Dr. Sleep MD.
And I'm the clown. Okay.
Fair.
But yeah, it's a cool concept because the Stephen King book has its own sequel, Dr. Sleep, but this is very much a sequel to the movie The Shining, which is very different from the book The Shining. All things said and done, as a phenomenal cast. Ian McGregor is obviously the big one as the main character, but Rebecca Ferguson is getting a lot of love, and justifiably so, as the villain. She's a lot of fun. She's not dumb, and she's not completely evil in the best ways. Combine that all with some really cool imagery, some fun horror tropes, absolutely. But I definitely would describe it more as a dark fantasy, which I kind of waited for reviewers to tell me that it was before jumping to see it, because if you're not familiar, resident scaredy cat here. Was not going to see a horror movie if I didn't have to. This wasn't quite there, and I loved it for it.
Yeah, I was surprised that was your positive pick. I've missed Doctor Sleep so far, and I'm disappointed. I want to get to it.
I'm just picturing Nate just constantly hitting refresh when the embargo's supposed to be up to just see what the reviews say. Please don't qualify as horror. Please don't qualify as horror. And you're absolutely right. I would call it more of a drama, to be honest.
It's close, yeah.
I mean, there is some thriller elements, don't get me wrong, and there's definitely some freaky supernatural stuff going on, but it very much is about the aftermath of the trauma of what happened in The Shining. And I think it does a really nice... Ewan McGregor is excellent, but I agree, Rebecca Ferguson steals this movie. She is so good and so charismatic. She's kind of like a human Pennywise. And it makes sense that they're both from Stephen King, because she very much is, you know, she's alluring and she's charming, but you know there's something sinister underneath there.
Absolutely is. Oh, no, I just thought it was a great, great movie. I'm hoping that it gets a little bit more box office buzz and a little bit more critical buzz, because I thoroughly enjoyed it.
We thought it was going to win the weekend, and now it's fighting John Cena as a fireman for like third and fourth place.
I didn't think we'd talk about that movie.
Well, that's the most we're talking about that movie. What was your low point, Nate?
All right, my low, already alluded to, but way back when, Jake and I bugged out over Godzilla King of the Monsters trailer. And we were like, oh my God, we're 8 years old again. We brought out the action figures. It's just going to be monster mayhem. And we were so pumped for the movie. But the monster battles were cool. Everything else in between was trash. The human characters, just like the original Godzilla, were the most boring aspects of the movie, in my opinion. And the human characters this time around, especially the villains, were just so dumb. We're talking like not even Saturday morning cartoons, Sunday morning cartoons bad, you know?
Ooh, when everybody's at church.
Exactly. Like that's when you put on the ones that no one even remembers the names or the theme songs. It's just it had so much promise, and there are really cool moments, but literally every cool shot is in the trailer. And you can just watch the trailer with like your own sound effects attached, and that's the best part of the movie. And I was so disappointed that it wasn't better than what it was.
I hope those audio files leak one day. It'll be like Watergate, because you'll just hear how incensed and angry I was. It was a therapy session. That was not a review. That was a therapy session. You guys talked me off the ledge, like King Kong on the top of the Empire State Building.
I was very disappointed too, and I remember when that trailer came out thinking, wow, thank God it came out in 2019 and not like 2004, because my poor parents would have heard nothing but me talk about that trailer. But yeah, that was pretty disappointing. I was pretty bummed about that. I hated Dark Phoenix more, but Godzilla was more of a disappointment because I actually had hope for Godzilla.
Yeah, they both can suck. They're right next to each other. But I hated Godzilla more too. Like, it's not good when the obese lizard is the most smart character in your movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, there are some nice like wallpaper-esque visuals, and we've talked about that in detail when we talked about the trailer, but those are really the big money shots, and I thought a lot of the other action was kind of hit and miss, and then there definitely wasn't anything going on in the story that I was happy with. Maybe those will have to leak one day, because we went hard on that movie.
Yeah, my favorite part was when Nate found out that one actress was playing twins because Andrew looked it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Like, you would have never known.
That was the craziest bit. Like, there's just a random set of twins in the movie played by the same person, and they never address it.
Not even
so
close.
You just think that it's the same character teleporting from one scene to another, and you're like, wow, they move really quickly in this universe. Nope, two different characters.
Yeah, but you would never know.
What?
So funny.
The power of awful editing. Ugh. Mm-hmm. Let me preface mine. Let me say that this is going to be not my favorite movie that's come out, or my least favorite movie that's come out, but it's kind of a where Andrew was right and where Andrew was wrong kind of thing. Where Andrew was wrong is actually on the positive side. I had my doubts about Toy Story 4 because Toy Stories 1, 2, and 3 are some of my favorite movies ever, and Toy Story 3 has one of the best endings to a trilogy that I think you could ever accomplish.
Yeah.
So why would we go back to the well? It turns out that they know more than me. Shocking, I know.
Right.
Because
Pixar happen to be pretty smart people.
while Toy Story 4 is the worst of the 4 movies, I don't even like saying worst. It's like a 3.8 GPA next to 4.0s, basically. It is still a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful film and another pitch perfect ending.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to go back again, but I'm done doubting Pixar on this specific franchise. Because clearly, they won't push it if they don't have a story worth telling.
Yeah, I also feel like, again, they're smarter than me, and like you said, smarter than you, but I feel like Toy Story 4 was a really definitive ending. I can't really even think about where, like, they've done that character arc and the messages that they go, or that they get to, I can't even imagine what they could possibly do next, but like you said, they proved us wrong a couple times now, so.
The movie's a little bit of a paradox to me, because on one hand, I agree, the story is very well told, and in isolation would be one of my favorite animated movies of the year, if not my favorite animated movie of the year. But I think just as a whole, something just doesn't sit right with how unimportant Andy becomes as a figure in the grand scheme of things, because there's that whole handoff scene in Toy Story 3, which is beautiful.
Which annihilated me emotionally. But yeah.
Absolutely. But then this movie is a lot about how Bonnie grows apart from Woody within like a couple months of them meeting. And I feel like it's hard to watch that ending knowing that the relationship that's so important to that 3's ending doesn't actually end up mattering that much, you know?
But I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, and we cannot deep dive this.
Yeah, sorry.
But I would say Toy Story 4 is very interesting in how it becomes like a reflection of the self. Yeah. Woody was important to Andy, and Andy and Woody's relationship was so important that he's fulfilled his purpose already, and it's time for him to go and find another journey, I think is that movie's message overall. And that's what I appreciated. There were more stories to tell. I just didn't realize it.
Absolutely. I think it might be a little bit of expectations on my part, but I don't want to seem like I'm a Debbie Downer on it because I'm not. I think it was more equivalent of drinking a soda that started as like a Coke or a Pepsi and halfway through turned into Dr. Pepper. Still good, just not what I started drinking, if that makes sense. Weird analogies aside. Good movie.
The Middle Season podcast is not sponsored by Coke, for the record.
Or Pepsi.
Or Pepsi.
We'll take either, though.
Yeah, if you're listening.
There we go. Toy Story 4, the low mark of the franchise with a horrible 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Please check it out if you haven't already. Here's where I was right, and we're on the low side of things. And this is not just me, because Nathaniel Ungarini was also right, and Jake, we'll let you tag along, but I don't think you were as strong on this one. The new Lion King. It is exactly what I thought it was going to be, which is a bad idea in concept, the same exact movie, just longer, somehow. Don't know how that's possible. I guess.
That was confusing.
You add like 30 seconds of a
Especially
new Beyonce
when you
song.
cut the songs.
Yeah, you cut
I'm getting angry already.
You cut the songs, you add a new Beyonce song, like kind of, not really. You change details just to change them slightly, like singing Can You Feel the Love Tonight during the day. That's been detailed and memed already all over the place. But my big thing was the expressions and the emotions and the colors of the original Lion King completely sapped out of this because, and we said this earlier, lions cannot smile. They cannot smile. They cannot frown because they are lions and all they do is eat caribou and poop in the Sahara.
I said that from day frickin' one. As soon as they announced that this was photorealistic. Oh my goodness.
And guess what? You were right, Nady.
Yeah, and I was the sucker. I was like, wow, the graphics look amazing. They're going to keep the story. I don't know, guys. This could be a good one. And you both were like, pfft.
And I hate to be cynical about this. I do. I really do. I wanted to like it. I just didn't. I didn't. And I don't think I was alone. It's rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. It did well at the box office.
It did very well.
But
let's not kid ourselves.
Let's not forget that I don't think it held as well as it could have. You know what I mean? Like, it had a huge opening, And then after that, I would love to see the drops. And Nate is very analytical with that stuff. He can go into that later and tell me.
It's on your screen now if you're watching this on YouTube.
Very Aladdin-y of you.
Super fancy. But yeah, not a fan of the new Lion King.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. Like, I enjoyed myself watching it, but like we all know the plot of Lion King. When Mufasa dies, instead of Simba screaming and crying no, we see a lion kind of just
staring blankly at a screen. Yeah,
moving its mouth saying no. It's just not you don't get the same emotional impact. The visuals are unbelievable, but coincidentally the visuals being beautiful actually hurt the story in a weird way that you guys called and I wasn't expecting. I still enjoyed it fine. Like, I like the original Lion King, therefore I enjoyed this one. It's almost the same story, but yeah, there's just something to it that was missing, and I think you guys nailed it.
If I say it much more, I'm just gonna go into a long 20-minute rant, so I'm gonna just say
so that'll be it.
my last thing, how dare they make the Scars song short? You know,
it's not even a song, it's slam poetry.
Yeah, exactly. I love my Bad Guy songs. Be Prepared is so freaking cool, visually stunning, and it was just, Scar's gonna walk around in the dark talking to other hyenas. The beat's gonna kick in, and then the scene's gonna change. What the hell?
That was the other thing. Like, for the musical numbers, if you're being realistic about it, you're not going to have all this green smoke sending him through the air, and you're not going to have I Just Can't Wait to Be King where a lion's running on top of a giraffe's neck, because you want to be realistic. So you lose all those fun components.
Yeah, almost every element a downgrade. Really like Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen.
Yeah, good for them.
Especially good for Billy Eichner. He deserves it. But everything else, not a big fan. So that's the best we could do of boiling down several months of movies. There's a lot of other movies we couldn't even touch on. Spider-Man, It Chapter 2. We'll maybe reference them later in the year when we do our best and worst of. You never know. But anyway, we are done now with looking back. Now let's look forward to a little bit of fun that we're going to be having here. Let's talk about something that we like to call here at the Middle Seats, the Box Office Challenge.
Let's make some money!
All you care about is money.
The box office disaster.
Money, money, money.
So this is a game I've been playing with my friends since high school. It was something that I thought would be fun to do because you watch everybody playing fantasy football and fantasy baseball and fantasy basketball, and I do that stuff too. But I know my friend Nate, he doesn't like the sports ball too much. So I thought it would be fun for the movie people to have their own kind of fantasy draft to say. Basically, this is how it works. There is a pool of dozens of movies that are coming out. We go around like a fantasy football draft would be and take teams. Whoever makes the most money at the end of the winter season is the winner, and so on and so forth for second place and third place. So you build your teams, you track them throughout the year, and you just chart to see how they do box office wise. It's not a movie quality game where we're like, oh, how many Oscar nominations or what's the Rotten Tomato critical consensus going to be. This is strictly money. So you need to take your personal feelings and put them aside. So we're going to be all winter long updating you on how our teams are doing.
Yeah, you would be smart to draft something like Transformers over, unfortunately, Lady Bird, because money matters in this game.
Yeah, that's a good example. Mm-hmm. That is a huge difference in money example.
Yeah. Money over quality. Yeah, that's about the best I could think of.
So we already drafted the teams off mic about a week or two ago. Nate's got the team in front of him. He'll tell you how he calculates and who has what.
Alrighty, so I'm going to be the data guy for the box office draft here. Basically, what we did was we had a pool of 24 movies in between November and March. And we're going to be calculating these totals up through the second weekend of April. Each of us had to make 5 picks. We started with Andrew, then Nate, then Jake, and we went in snake order. So Jake got the 3rd and 4th pick, and then we swung back around. Every week, we will have the opportunity to do some trades. And we'll go over the trade rules later, but just for hard numbers now, these are the teams. So leading Drew's team, he picked, obviously, Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, because Andrew's predictable. He's no fun.
Yeah, for real. I'd like it to be on the record that I did not ask to be the first pick. That would be a really petty thing. I could have played the alphabetical card, but I didn't. So
Yeah. Oh, what was me? I got Star Wars. Stop making fun of me.
Well, either way, Star Wars for the box office newbie will make a crap ton of money no matter how you slice it. Even Last Jedi, which was audience split in terms of ratings and whatnot, still made $600 million.
yes.
Right.
If on an average, for easy numbers, a movie will make $100 million. So Star Wars made 6 times that.
Yeah. And let's specify here, domestic. We are talking about just in the United States.
Right.
That is
yes.
important.
Yes, that's a good point. Because some movies do better overseas than others. Like Transformers do unbelievable overseas, as do Fast and
What
Furious.
is with you and Transformers today?
I don't know.
Nobody's thought about those movies in a year and a half.
Yeah, that's my bad. Sorry.
So rounding out the rest of Drew's team is Charlie's Angels, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Godzilla vs. Kong, and A Quiet Place Part 2. So, tough team to beat.
Damn straight.
But I think I can round it out. My first pick was Frozen 2. And just like superhero movies and Star Wars movies, if you're a box office newbie, here's a big tip for you. Animated movies make bank because families bring everyone to see them. And they're in theaters forever. So Frozen 2 is my first pick. And I rounded out with DC's Birds of Prey, the Harley Quinn movie, The King's Man, Mulan, and Ford versus Ferrari.
Another solid team.
Ford v Ferrari, Dawn of Justice.
And then we have Jake, who did get the benefit of the snake draft. He picked Jumanji Next Level, which was a breakout hit.
Yeah, I didn't even care for the first one, but it made so much money that it pissed me off. So I was like, I'm not doubting that again. So I picked that up.
Absolutely. We'll see if the sequel holds out for you. His next pick was Onward, the upcoming Pixar movie, which stands to make a good chunk of change itself.
Let's go. Tom Holland, Chris Pratt.
Rounding out the rest of Jake's team is Knives Out, 1917, and everyone's favorite trailer, Cats.
Come on, Taylor Swift's posse. Get me the money.
So, without going through all of them, because that would take too long, a couple notable things on the sidelines that could be traded for. You have Bad Boys for Life, Sonic the Hedgehog, Spies in Disguise. All right, so those are the teams. Updates to come. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see it on your screen. But if you are a audio listener, we'll definitely have updates on Facebook and Twitter, all our social media, where you can follow the progress there. Gonna get heated, boys, because there definitely will be a punishment for the loser.
Yeah, and we will update you on a final punishment in the near future when we decide really how big of babies or how tough we want to be. But it will be fun, that's for certain. I don't know if anybody's going to take the SATs, which is a pretty classic punishment for drafts, but it'll be pretty bad. It'll be unpleasant for sure.
You love that one. You bring that on up every time.
I thought that was one of the funniest things I had ever heard. Somebody lost a fantasy football draft at like 25 or 6 years old, and they had to go take the SAT as a punishment.
Yeah.
I was cackling when I first read that. It was so funny.
Did they have to get a certain score, or could they just go
think
and
they
fill
just had to
D
go
for
do
every
it.
answer? It's just a waste of money.
It's so funny.
A waste of time.
Yeah.
6 hours, you're never getting
Because it's
back.
always a Saturday morning, too.
Yeah, I was cracking up. Just crazy stuff like that. So we're probably going to make ours movies based, but
We should make people watch foreign films with no subtitles. It's just so confusing.
Depending on the movie, that could either be amazing or terrible.
a really, really long one.
So obviously, we've been playing this game for a long time, just with our inner circle of friends. It's a lot of fun. We talk about it all year long. It's something we look forward to, so we're happy to bring you guys into the fray. I hope you guys get involved and maybe start it with your own friends, but we're going to charge if you do it with your own friends, just so you know. I need to TM this before it becomes a big thing.
Right, take the
That is on audio recording right now, so there you go. That'll do it for our house cleaning here on the Middle Seats podcast. We talked a little bit about some of our favorite movies and our least favorite movies of the summer and the fall. And we also talked about the excitement of our box office draft. If you want to hear our Joker review, look for a separate video. But for now, for Nate Longarini and Jake Kensler, I'm Andrew Oj. Keep that seat warm, everyone. We'll be back soon.